Woo! Happy New Year, everyone. The Cincinnati Bearcats have won their first sporting event in the Big 12 in 88 days. Nearly 3 months it took for Houdini and myself to hop on a post-game show and say we have won a Big 12 basketball game. Final score, Cincinnati goes into Colorado. They take down Tad Boyle and company. Lieutenant Tad Boyle, 68-62 Cincinnati to improve to 11-5 on the season, 1-4 in the conference. Cincinnati once again shooting the ball, not a thing of beauty. 36% for the floor. They do step it up to 34% from deep in the free throws. It's what saved the day, 76%. Storyline, Simas Lukosius breaks out of the slump, 16 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 3 of 8 from 3. Jizzle James does not break out of that slump, however, does hit some crucial free throws late to seal the deal. James had 5. Skillings had 10. Dylan Mitchell with 11. Day Thomas had 10. And then Arrington Page again gives the Cats some good minutes with 5 points and 3 rebounds off the bench. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. You can check out the show wherever you get your audio podcast the day after games and live on YouTube. Also a new feature. We have the chat in the link in the chat right now on YouTube. So it's a call-in show. If you want to click on that link, you can join the show and we will feature you and get a little Q&A going. Houdini, thoughts on the win? Wasn't a thing of beauty. I don't feel any better about this basketball team, but at the end of the day, we needed a win, man. I put on the full uniform to try and change the vibes. And for this Tuesday, very cold night, sleepy night in Colorado, Bearcats get a W. How we feeling, brother?
This might be the first time in the history of me watching basketball that I actually came away from a Big 12 road win even more disgusted by this team. I mean, it was not good, dude. Like, Colorado has 2 of their starters out. 2 starters that aren't playing. Imagine if we played without 2 of our starters. What would have happened here? Listen, a win's a win. The one silver lining I saw was Simas seemed at the end of that game to get out of that stench that he's been throwing up. Finished 6 of 12 with 16 points. That's the one thing you could point to and be like, hey, maybe Simas got off of that, the way that he's been shooting the ball, got off that skid a little bit. But not great, dude. I mean, come on. Colorado's going to finish in the bottom 2 or 3 in the Big 12.
Colorado sucks.
Let this thing slip away. They're not good.
They're not good at all, man. Like, they're awful. I was watching the first half and felt bad for anyone that cheers on Colorado basketball this year, at least this rendition of them without 2 of their starters. I will say this, a star was born and bang got Dak. 7 of 13 from the floor for Colorado. He had 19 points. We very rarely talk about the opposition on this show. It's just a 40-minute vent session about Bearcats and Bearcats only. We didn't even talk about Hunter Dickinson. We didn't say his name once on the last show. We didn't even say Flory Badunga's name once. We don't talk about the opposition, but Dak was a huge storyline in this game. 19 points, 8 rebounds, was knocking down threes. This is a guy that averages 5 points per game. Only a sophomore, but I'll tell you what, he broke out in a big way and looked pretty good with Bandaogo guarding him at times. So let's start there. Aziz Bandaogo, 4 points, 10 rebounds, 5 of them offensively. But I don't think I've ever seen a more frustrating Bearcat player in my life to watch offensively. I mean, take away maybe Biggie McLean and David Narsuk and a small list of characters. I mean, it's tough to watch. And they've run a lot of the offense through him, it seems like.
It really is tough. And shout out to Bangot Dak, because that looked like Aziz Bandaogo at Utah Valley. Like, he had 8 blocks, 19 points. He was hitting threes, making free throws. I mean, Wes might have to dig deep in the portal this year to get him if he's coaching this basketball team next year, because he looked awesome. But yeah, Aziz Bandaogo is brutal to watch, man, on offense. And I know he does a lot of the little things for this team, but at some
Does
point,
he though? And that's not anything facetious. It's just a serious question. Like, because I see people in the chat saying his defense was awful down the stretch. Does he? Like, is he that important? Is he the glue of this team? If you limited his role just a little and played him 15 minutes a game, would the team seriously suffer? That's a serious question.
No, I think it's something you got to look into. No, I think Aziz is in certain games. I mean, the Xavier game, he was fantastic. Let's not forget about it. In certain games, when he fits the style of play, he's great. but it doesn't seem like Wes adjusts his minutes at all. Like, regardless of what's happening in the game, he's like, we're playing Aziz 25 minutes, and we're giving him post touches. Like, we should never give him the ball in the post. I mean, we saw one of the most uncoordinated back to the basket moves in the first half that I think I've quite ever seen in my life. So it's very frustrating to watch him, and it seems like we almost feed him the ball a little bit too much.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing? Like, he can't be the focal point of the offense, and it sucks because Dylan Mitchell's got no back to the basket moves either. We saw Arrington Page get himself in a little bit of trouble shooting no look layups tonight. So it's kind of like, where do you turn from a big man perspective? Wes did finally run a lineup out there all small. I think he put Dylan Mitchell at the 5, didn't have Aziz, didn't have another big end. That's like one of the few times we've seen it all year. So hopefully he starts going to that a little bit more and staggers Dylan Mitchell and Aziz Bandago at the 5.
100% agree. Jizzle James at the point guard position. We got you, Sean, coming on next. Jizzle James at the point guard position has been a struggle. It was just 1 of 7 in the game today, 1 of 5 from three-point range. Did hit those big three-pointers down the stretch. We're going to continue this conversation on Jizzle because his confidence is just crushed. That Xavier game hurt him, although he did have the bounce back against Dayton. But, I mean, Jizzle, first 6-7 games of the season, scored in double figures every single game. We forget that he was the only player with a pulse against Villanova. He had 19. But right now, he is just mentally destroyed. Some of these players mentally destroyed, but specifically Jizzle. Let's welcome in Sean to the program. What's up, Sean? What's on your mind, brother?
I want to congratulate the team. I see a lot of these podcasts, and everyone has their analytical thoughts and how the team let us down. We had a chance to close out the game up 7 with like 8 or 10 minutes left, maybe more like 6. And we failed utterly. And then down the stretch, we were able to chop up like the half court, get our guys to the line. And Colorado did the same thing. They're sentient beings. They're doing the same thing down the stretch. And they missed 5 free throws or 4. They missed the front end of a 1-on-1, and then 3 on a Hawk Tua throw from the piss stands. And then we hit our free throws. So just want to congratulate the Bearcats on hitting a lot of free throws. I don't have anything really further to add.
Good stuff, Sean. Thoughts on that take?
Thank you, Sean. That was electric. He gave us like a rundown there, and he's right. He was accurate on everything. We did hit free throws to close the game. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Colorado couldn't make a free throw to save their lives. We shot 76% from the line. If we shoot on our averages, we absolutely lose this game. And they shot 61%, 13 of 21. So he's right. I wouldn't say that we closed the game well by any means, but we did hit our free throws. So that's one positive we can look at in the end of this game.
We closed the game well. We let them, take over with about 4 minutes left. I think they took the lead, but final couple minutes of the game, I thought Lukosius had some stones, baby. Had some stones. Niehaus, he's always got some stones, folks. King of the burners, king of the Bearcat burners, and king of the halftime spaces. What's up? What's on your mind, Niehaus? You're muted, brother.
You're on mute.
Disaster
this guy
class.
podcasted.
Oh my God. It's all right. Just keep talking. Houdini and I will break down what happened in the game today. But Houdini, this is a team that has a chance to really take a stranglehold on the season after struggling. They'd lost 4 straight games. 7 of these next 9 are winnable. Arizona State on Saturday. Do you feel good about this stretch? I mean, based off what you've seen, do you feel good about this stretch, or did tonight not fix any of your sleepless nights?
It didn't fix much. Like I said, the one thing was Simas Lukosius seemed to get off that skid that he was on as far as shooting the basketball. Hopefully that continues. But somehow we almost covered the over as well. I think the over was right at 70 points. I don't know how we even did it, but there's still a lot to be desired from this team. But you're right, the stretch, the schedule gets much easier. And if they could kind of hit their stride, get their rhythm back, maybe Jizzle James wakes up out of the coma he's been in, then things could start looking good. And maybe Wes, for the love of God, Wes won't change the starting lineup. He did hockey subs 4 minutes into the game at 16-minute mark. I didn't understand what was going on. Like, maybe switch up the starting lineup, try some different things. But, hey, at least the schedule gets easier. That's really the only thing I could say on that. Niehaus, what do you got on that?
All right. Can you hear me now?
You're back.
The TikTok mic killed me. Basketball is a complicated sport. Maybe this is a simple fix because I don't know if you saw that graphic where when UC wins, CMOS is averaging 15 points, shooting 50% from the floor. When UC loses, CMOS is shooting 26% from the floor, averaging 6 points a game. It's like Caleb Love with Arizona when we had the midweek show, pre-Arizona. When he's shooting well, Arizona wins. When he doesn't shoot well, Arizona loses. CMOS Lukosius, maybe he's the recipe. He shot, 50% from the floor and over 33% from three tonight. Is it that simple? Do you guys think it's that simple?
I do. It's like I said, if CMOS can be the kind of the leader of this offense, when he's hitting those threes, it changes everything. He bails us out of so many bad offensive sets, and he's been good. People forget, like, he played very well in large stretches of the Big 12 play last year. Like, we know he has it. It's not like he was a flash in the pan in the out of conference and can't play against anybody with a pulse. We've seen him do it before. And if he can make shots, and even when he was missing shots tonight, and his confidence is not quite there because he was launching when he had a split second the first 10 games of the season, he was launching anything he saw, and he starts to hesitate a little bit more, but at least he was getting to the basket a little bit more than just shooting those step back threes. So I really liked what I saw from CMOS, even when he was missing early, and then he started to get hot. So I think you could take positives from that because if he's good, I think the team's good. I really do.
The Day-Day Jizzle conversation right now of plugging Day-Day into the starting lineup, putting Jizzle on the bench, trying to find a spark in Jizzle. This is not what I thought of Jizzle, obviously. I mean, in the offseason, freshman year, I said, he's like a Davion Mitchell. And then I decided to up the ante. I said, forget Davion Mitchell, John Moran. Boy, do I look like an idiot. Boy, one of the coldest takes you will ever see. James has struggled again. It's crazy because with his dad being a Hall of Fame running back, and you saw just the toughness of him from a freshman and the fearlessness, I didn't think that most of his struggles his sophomore season would come from strictly confidence. I mean, it truly is right now a situation where we are watching a basketball player in his sophomore year. A lot of time to grow, a lot of time to fix things, but is mentally broken, it seems, out there.
Lily brought up a good point on what to do, like a little segment on the post-game show, trending up, trending down. So I'm just going to kind of throw mine out. Trending up, Arrington Page. Trending down, Tyler Betsy, Jizzle James. Like I tweeted, like, I'm not sure what Tyler Betsy does to earn these minutes. I'm not saying Rayvon's the answer. Everybody points to Rayvon. Like, we can't shoot the ball, and I don't think Rayvon I don't think he can shoot. So it's not like you throw Rayvon out there and that's the answer. But some of these guys, man, I don't know what they're doing to earn these minutes. I feel like Day-Day plays super hard and he gives us something. Whereas Jizzle, thank goodness he knocked down those free throws. That's all you can say he's done for us this year is he's had two big games knocking down free throws late. But got to see more from him. CMOS, thankfully, is trending up right now with this game. Needed that from him. But hey, I'll hang up and listen and let you guys add some other people onto the show. But yeah, no, I got to say, I like what I saw from Arrington Page. Betsy's a nothing for me out there. He's got to show us something, right? I mean, I know he's a freshman. Maybe I'm being too tough on him.
Good stuff. Thanks, Nick. Dialed in there, Niehaus. Jizzle, though. It comes back to Wes saying that Jizzle is an everyday guy in practice. He brings it nonstop, 100%, pedal to the metal, defends. He's the guy that he says, I'm not worried about Jizzle, right? I'm not worried about Jizzle. He sees him a lot more than we do in practice, and he is willing Jizzle's way out of a slump, essentially. He says, you're getting out of this thing. I don't care if it happens against Utah at Fifth Third Arena in a month or whenever that is. You are getting out of this slump because we see it every single day in practice. Like, there's no way that the Monstars found this guy and stole his talent. There's absolutely no way. You know, he didn't have Calvin Cambridge's shoes last season and bust out of the soles 7 games into this season. Like, the dude can still play basketball. It's all up here. It's all up here. And it's wild to me because that's the one thing that I thought he had was just that warrior-like mentality where he was poised well beyond his years, and maybe he will be down the road. But as of right now, not too poised. Always poised on the mic. Eric Lilly, how we feeling?
Oh man, we need some optimism in here, guys. I know it didn't look pretty, but it's time to accept we're not going to look pretty. Like everyone here is talking about how much we suck, and we do. Like on off, it's awful. It's pathetic. Coming from me, but we got to start winning ball games ugly, and we know all about that in Cincinnati. We did it today, somehow because of free throw shooting. The concern for me is we didn't win the ugly game with like scrappy rebounds and stuff like that. Like Colorado had, like we should have smoked these guys on the boards, and they beat us +4. Missing open threes still. Like they're still, I see why people are negative. All those things are still occurring, but we got to get this first one off our backs, beat Arizona State, and then go into that Texas Tech game and just, for once, win a big game at home, guys.
For once. Also, CJ, man. We needed a little CJ step up, and he had 5 today.
Yeah. And when he's in, like even versus Kansas, we scored 40, but
things are
happening when he's in. Like things are happening.
Right?
Like stuff's going on.
We saw
People
him play
running
in the
around.
state title against Scott County with Covcath. Like the guy knows how to play basketball. He's not just a raw talent like a lot of the players on this team. Like he's fluid. He comes off screens. He spaces the floor. Knows where to be. Had a block today. I think it was Fran Fraschilla was like, oh, they better exploit this matchup with Frederick here. And Frederick was just like, and blocked him. And he's like, oh, never mind. CJ stood up to the task.
Literally as he said it.
Yeah.
I love what CJ Frederick does well. And he played 12 minutes. I got the minute totals now, 12 minutes. I wish he would just launch threes anytime he's open at all, just for a split second. Just launch it. It's going to be better than half of our offense. But yeah, you got to like what you saw from CJ. I mean, Day Thomas finished with 25 minutes and Jizzle James finished with 22. So I think that we can even uptick Day's minutes. I know efficiency-wise, he actually had a pretty good efficient night tonight, 4 of 8 with 10 points. He hasn't been great efficient-wise, but like I said, he's one of the only guys that attacks the damn basket. I mean, I don't know how many free throws we've had actually attacking the rim because he's the only guy doing it. So we need as much playmaking as we can get. So I love the idea. Tell me if I'm crazy here. I don't think anyone's going to disagree here. Put Day Thomas in the starting lineup. Put Jizzle on the bench where he was comfortable last year. Maybe he picks up his stride at some point, but I think that's the easy solution to try to put some life into at least this starting lineup and get off on the right foot.
Yeah, again, I think it comes back to Wes just saying that he sees it every day in practice and he's not worried about Jizzle, and I don't think he wants to throw off his – I'm worried about him too. At a certain point, I think you do have to throw off kind of his routine and just switch things up and get him in a different position, maybe get him running around with a different lineup than he's typically used to where he feels like more of the alpha out there. I don't know what needs to happen, but first things first, off those ball screens, he needs to start attacking. I mean, it's always first step off the screen. He's taking 2 steps back, dribbling back. And then next thing you know, Aziz is out there on the perimeter. There's 9 on the shot clock. I'm like, what is this spacing? Why is Aziz this far away from the basket with 9 seconds left? But then guess what? He's inside. We throw it to him down on the block, and I feel just as bad there. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation. But look, fellas, we got the first. You always remember your first, and we got it against the Colorado Buffaloes. First time the Bearcats have beaten the Buffaloes since the 80s. We've dominated the Buffaloes over the years. I think we're now 8-1 against Colorado. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is Arizona State is up next. That is on Saturday. Then it's Texas Tech, tough game. At home, though. BYU, Utah, that trip out west. These 4 games coming up. What to you is, all right, we're back in tournament contention resume-wise? Because obviously the team can win 3 of these games, but if they look awful and they beat, Utah, Arizona State, and sneak one out against Texas Tech, I don't think the resume feels good, but we still want to be a good basketball team, right? There's more to just, getting to 2 games below 500 in the Big 12 or whatever it is. What's a good stretch look like to you fellas? Houdini.
So, I mean, keep in mind, we do have 5 losses, right? 4 of which are quad 1 losses. Okay. We had the Kansas State on the road, which I think is a quad 2. So from a net ranking and KenPom standpoint, you can see we're still right in the mix. Although as a fan, it's just been so disgusting and disheartening to watch. We're like, wait a minute, does this team suck? But all the analytics point to like we can get right back into this. If we go on a stretch where we win, 3 out of the next 4 games, we're right back in the mix. Like we're right back in it. I know they're not, the best competition, but it's still Big 12 play, one of which would be at BYU, which would be a very good win. So I think if you get 3 out of the next 4, I think you got to feel pretty good.
Steve says, does UC have any quad 1 wins? The answer is no. As of right now, the best win has to be Xavier, considering, I mean, maybe there's a chance that because it's a road game, Lily would know this better than me, that Colorado sneaks up on the radar. But as of right now, it's got to be Xavier because Dayton is falling apart. They stink. That's not going to be a good win by the season's end.
Yeah, Colorado is real close, but after tonight, I just don't see them getting to Q1. I'm sorry. Like, we could tell ourselves they have a chance, but come on. They suck too. So does Dayton. So does Xavier. We got a ways to go here, but we got to start somewhere.
No good wins.
No bad losses though either. That's seriously, that stuff matters. Like
I
our
thought
resume.
you said Kansas State was a quad 3.
It's Q2 right now, but yeah, it's trending that direction. Q3's. I mentioned this last if you want to look at Texas 2024. They had a Q3 loss last year and got a 7 seed, and they didn't have a statement win at all. We just need to win games, guys. Like, so that's the thing. I think I might stop schedule watching for a week or two here. Texas Tech is our chance for our first Q1 win of the season on Tuesday.
All right, we'll take it, man. Last thing I wanted to bring up is the last couple of shows. It's a reactionary show, and after every single game where the Bearcats just consistently lose, the pitchforks are sharp, right? I'm the lead barbarian taking everyone to the gate saying, get Wes! Get him, everyone! I want to give props to Wes today. Coached his ass off, had the guys at least ready to play from an energy standpoint, especially early. I saw him dig into Dylan Mitchell, which we asked him for a little bit of fire, hold guys accountable. I saw him in the first half after Jizzle, can't remember what the play was, but it was something abysmal. He immediately yanks Jizzle at the next TV timeout and puts in Day-Day. I like the accountability there. He was smacking the floor. I like that. Overall, you could just tell that Wes really, really needed this game. He knew he needed this game. He got it done. And I'll give the guy his flowers for winning a game at Colorado. Road games are never easy in college basketball. Let's go back-to-back because the Bearcats have never won back-to-back Big 12 games in the regular season. They have a chance to do that against Arizona State. Fellas, I got to host the Warriors post-game show. Final thoughts from each of you. Let's start with you, Lily.
What you just said is we have to win 2. We have to string games together this year. Now that we started 0-4, it is urgent, imperative to go on a streak of some sort this season, whether it's 4 games, 5 games, 6, whatever, anything. Doesn't matter who you're playing. It has
Really?
to happen. You have to prove it to the fans that we are at this level because we're just going crazy over here.
Yeah. Do you remember the song? It was back when we were in high school at Moeller. We take one step at a time. We're learning to fly. It's one step at a time, fellas. That's what the Bearcats need to do. One step at a time, one win
Great
at a
track.
time. Let's that was a banger. Low key. Houdini, take us home.
No, yeah, you got to beat Arizona State. You absolutely have to beat Arizona State. They got athletes. They're going to be a tough win. If we win that game, I'll start feeling a little bit better. My last thought is I wasn't aware of Miss Peggy at Colorado, who apparently is an arch rival of Sister Jean. They said she's 100 years old. I want to see a birth certificate. She looked like she might be 85, 86. So I wasn't buying that. And UC needs to get an old lady as a fan as well to get the mojo back in this program. So that's where I'll leave it.
Yeah, I don't really have many. I mean, I'm trying to think of anyone that can help us out from that perspective in Cincinnati, but we can get Ruby to all the games. We can get Ruby. Like we don't have a a sister, but we got Jeff Ruby in like cool suits and a top hat on the sideline. I mean, we could get that. Oscar was cool when he was on the sidelines. It's been a minute since he's been to the games.
You
But
gotta be
Get
like
Bootsy
100.
out there. We got Bootsy Collins in Milford.
little Zach Taylor went to the last game. I mean, when the Cats are hot, man, they get some star-studded people there. I remember I went to an SMU game and Brandon Phillips was there in like a gold suit. I'm like, "What's up, Phillips?" He's like, I'm not really trying to talk to anyone. I'm like, "You came to the game in a fucking gold suit, man. You're clearly trying to be noticed, with all due respect." But respect the game, man. Real recognize real. That's it for me. If anyone wants to take the floor for the final 15 seconds, you got it. Otherwise, nice little digestible 30-minute show. Bearcats improved to 1-4 in the Big 12. Take us home with a final thought, Houdini.
Arizona State. That's all there is to it.
Beat their asses. See ya, everyone.